Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakal Kodesh, double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, to the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who are risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalia, and this video is about these end-time prophecies, specifically more so on the prophecy of famine that is going to be happening in these last days. And when I say these last days, I'm referring to the last days of the rulership of the so-called white men who are the biblical Edomites, whose forefathers Esau. This is their vile and wicked kingdom, and their kingdom is coming to an end. And the end of their kingdom is the beginning of our kingdom. As it says in the book of 2 Esdras chapter 6 and verse 7, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is the so-called white man, and this is his world, this is his kingdom. He's living through his blessing right now, given to him from our forefather Isaac, that he would have the fatness of the earth, the dew of heaven, and by the sword he would rule. And then Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. At the end of Esau's kingdom is the start of our kingdom, the kingdom of the Israelites, the true Israelites, okay, which will be headed by Yahushai. So Yahushua said in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3, And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world, the sign of the coming of our Lord Yahushua? What are the things that we will be seeing before his return? And the word world here at G165 is the Greek word aeon, which is talking about a period of time and age. So it's not talking about the end of the world as, some false doctrines out there try to teach. It is talking about the end of an age, which is talking about the end of the age of the so-called white man, who are the biblical Edomites. Then Yahushua said, let's go to verse 6, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And we've been going through these rumors of wars. We're literally in the midst of this right now. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, which we're in that time. And there shall be pestilence, Salakia, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. So before the coming of our Lord Yahushua, the return, we're going to be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And that's happening because there's a build-up heading towards the prophecy of World War III. And all of the major players regarding the prophecy of World War III are being roused up, right? They're having that spirit put upon them to go to war. So that's why you see all of these geopolitical tensions that are happening. Then it says the famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. The earthquakes are very frequent occurrences, so frequent and so, it's like normalized. People hear about an earthquake and they go about their day. The number of them that have been happening for all of these past recent years. But the thing about it is that they're happening more frequently and they're becoming more powerful as time goes on. The pestilences, right now, it feels like every other week I'm hearing about a new pestilence that's happening around the world, right? Or happening in America. The most recent one is this Legionnaires, they call it Legionnaires' disease, which they're saying that some people have perished from it. But when you even observe just this year, they've been constantly bringing up this kind of pestilence happening in X place, Y place, and Z place. All right, if you keep up with it. Okay, so the famines is really, that next thing to start to build up and start to happening more commonly. Okay, And so there's already a famine in like places like Sudan. Then you have Gaza due to the situations that are happening there. I'm not sure about Ukraine, all right, but I'm sure they're suffering. But overall, they will eventually start to pick up the famine in various places around the world, because the famine is intended to hit the world, the entire world. So the world is going to suffer from famine. Okay, so now in these days, it's starting to build up, because everything here in Matthew 24 and verse 6 and verse 7, they are, prominent in the world. It's just the famine now to come, and the famine is building day by day. And there's a situation in America. I have this video here, but you have this situation in America where people are feeling food insecurity, right? So 86 of Americans feel stressed about the cost of groceries is what I typed in, and then all of these came up. Half of American families cite grocery prices as vast majority of US adults are stressed about groceries. So that's 4 days, 1 week. Most Americans say grocery costs are a major stress, right? And then you can see it. 6 days ago, Americans are worried about grocery prices again. Stressed about grocery prices all this month. They're even talking about it on Reddit, okay? Which is a form of social media. And it's not just in one Reddit forum, it's in multiple Reddit forums that they're talking about this situation. You have from the End Time Headlines, which I'm going to actually use that article. Then you have 3 days ago, over half the US has major stress over the food price. Okay, so this is a very real reality that is happening to the people in America. And, I don't care about the plight of the heathen. They're not my people. Their sufferings, it is what it is. I'm referring to you Israelites, man, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, I know y'all are feeling the crunch. All right, because our people are the ones that are suffering under the curses. So our people are at the bottom of the barrel. Okay, and our people are, consist of, the majority of the poor and those that fall into these types of situations. All right, so I know that our people are suffering this more than the other nations. All right, but they too are collateral damage in this whole situation. They are feeling it as well. Okay, the heathen, they're affected. Okay, but this is just the world, and what's happening to the world. It's being brought into a state of chaos, and famine is a very powerful tool to bring about that chaos. And out of chaos comes order, and that's what the wicked elite of Esau, Edom are doing. All right, bringing tribulation to the world, and then they're going to establish their order that's new, and that's going to have their microchip, which is the mark of the beast, as their main goal, to make it mandatory worldwide, where you won't be able to buy food or do anything in society unless you have this microchip. This is where it's all heading towards. All right, so here you have half of American families cite grocery prices as major stress.
Any way she can on that ever-growing grocery bill.
My husband and I have four daughters.
The video is basically
our
about,
grocery bill per month is over.
You can see that this is a so-called white-looking family, right? And I'll take it face value. They will be Edomites, and they're suffering in their kingdom, right? They have this family of 4 children. They're both working, by the way, and the grocery bill is too much for them. I believe in the video the woman cited something like it's $1,500 a month for grocery bills for their family, and she can't handle it. And this is a reality for, the majority of the Americans, because it says that it is 86%, which is the vast majority, a very high number of Americans feeling food insecurity. Okay. So in it, there were discussions about, tips of how to save money and all these kinds of things, right? How to save money to alleviate the stress of the high prices of the grocery bills. But the thing about it is that it speaks very loudly to the situation at hand. It's very telling. Esau's kingdom, a kingdom that is truly thriving and a kingdom that's in its prime, doesn't have its people, suffering to eat food, to purchase food. It's a very telling sign of the deterioration of Esau's kingdom. It speaks very loudly, you know. And, there's a point that the woman made, the news broadcaster made in the video after talking about the points of how to save money on grocery bills.
Kids are not cheap.
They are absolutely not cheap. I know it with two. And it does cost you a lot of money, especially if you're grilling this summer. You've probably noticed ground chuck prices. They just hit a record high, $6.12 a pound. A year ago, the price was under $6, and analysts are saying, Robin, they're going to keep going up next year.
Okay, so how do we save money there?
Okay, so what's really important is to get to know those sales cycles. Things go on sale every...
Situation is really pathetic for Esau's kingdom, man. All right. And as she said, it's going to go up more next year. So it's not going to get easier. This is it. This is the crunch that is happening onto the world. And, it says it because famine, there are stages to it. We're in those beginning stages with the whole inflation situation. There is food available, but people are not able to afford the food that they want to consume or need to consume. That's a very big problem. And eventually it's going to get to the point where there's no food because it's going to be a famine of food and water. Okay. But in the early days, it happens in a certain kind of way, in stages. So Ezekiel 4 and verse 16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. So the message is onto the nation of Israel. It's for the Israelites, right? Salvation is only for us, and this is about our people, right? You're going to suffer from these things because the Lord is going to judge you for it, for not repenting, for not returning to our power. So, our people are going to suffer from the famine. And so the scripture is saying that they shall eat bread by weight. So they'll be measuring out their food, all right, rationing it out because of the situations that will be happening. And so one situation that is happening right now is the inflation. So people can't just buy as much food as they want to. They have to really say, okay, well, this is going to be for Monday and this is going to be for Tuesday. And for some people, their reality already is that they don't know what they're going to eat for maybe the last half of the month because the money is just gone. You know what I'm saying? And so the water as well by measure. So everything is going to be, in this type of way, and it's just going to happen in stages. Eventually, as it says in Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So right now it's an issue with, the stress of the food prices, but eventually there just won't even be food on the shelves, which will cause panic for sure. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid, because there's going to be an announcement made regarding the situation. As right now, it is an announcement. They are announcing and have announced that the food prices are like this in this type of situation, and they've already announced that they will become worse too. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. So the famine is going to be so sore, and the hell is going to be so extreme upon earth that people are going to be fighting one another. Families are going to collapse. Friendships are going to collapse. It's going to become every man for himself, and the famine is going to be so brutal that people are going to be turning to cannibalism. Yeah, it's going to be severe out in the world. And the only way to not take part in these judgments is, one, you have to be an Israelite, and two, you have to be a part of the elect of the nation of Israel. Other than that, you're through. And famine is nothing to play around with. You know, all sorts of judgments are coming in 2nd Esdras 15 and about verse 5. It says, "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." So severe judgment is coming, right? Now, in Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 9, it says, "They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger." So it's better to perish of the sword. And the sword comes in any kind of form of, that brings about slaying and destruction. Okay? "For these pine away stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people." So sodden here, when you look at the Hebrew word bashal, is to cook, bake, roast. So it says the hands of the pitiful women have baked their own children, because cannibalism is going to be occurring, man. It's going to be really bad. All right. I did have this article, 86% of Americans feel stressed about the cost of groceries. Why are social media platforms filled with videos of Americans complaining about grocery prices right now? Needless to say, those videos must be striking a chord, because some of them are receiving millions of views, right? And that's the power of social media right now. Its impact, where people don't need to rely on their local news stations anymore. People have a first-hand experience to things that are happening around the world, and they have a spirit upon them to want to share everything that's happening every single day of their lives. And they share all of this on the various social media that's out there, from the YouTube to the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, which is now X, Reddit. Every form of social media, they share their experiences, and the people have easy access to it because people have access to the internet, and they come together in a virtual space and speak about these things, receiving millions of views. Government bureaucrats are telling us that the cost of food is only going up a few percentage points per year, but we can all see that is a load of nonsense. A trip to the grocery store has become an enormous expense, and this is especially true if you have kids to feed. As I wrote about earlier this month, one survey found that in 25% of US households, at least one person is skipping meals so that there will be enough money to pay bills, right? Because the cost of living is going up. So your purchasing power is decreasing because people aren't getting raises to accommodate for the inflation. Their purchasing power remains the same, their income remains the same, but everything is becoming more expensive around them. And so people prioritize certain things like the house that they live in, the car that they drive, and then they have to cut short on other things such as food. Food is one of the things that get cut short because people need, somewhere to live and a mode of transportation. That's what the world feels. Okay, so food first luxury items go out the window, like travel, and trips, and toys and trinkets and certain forms of technology, all those kinds of things. Then the food. So people are already cutting out those things that are considered luxurious items, and they're starting to target their food and reducing, the amount that they purchase, right? Some are literally skipping meals to pay for their other bills. It's very serious, and once again, it speaks to the deterioration of the kingdom of the Edomites. In the kingdom of heaven, you think that people gonna be suffering these types of things? No, the food is going to be in excess. Come on. You think people are going to be worried about where to live? All of these things will just be a natural part of society, where the nation of people that are ruling are going to simply benefit from the glorious rulership of the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of the Israelites. Our people won't be suffering in any which way at all. We're all going to be living as kings, and the women princesses. And the heathen are going to benefit from the lifestyle of the Israelites, where the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishah are established, and the world is governed by the true and correct way of how it is to be governed. The heathen are going to benefit from it, man. Just the fact that the air, the earth, the food is going to be undefiled, that alone is going to be an immense amount of benefit for the heathen. So it's all going to be extremely glorious in the kingdom of heaven, man, which it is not in Esau's kingdom. Okay? So it says, sadly, we are being warned that the cost of groceries will go even higher in the months ahead. Several years ago, I kept warning my readers over and over again that soon the cost of groceries would become very painful. Without a doubt, that time has arrived. According to a recent AP poll, the cost of groceries is a source of stress for 86% of US adults. Does your run to the supermarket cause a spike in your blood pressure? You're in good company. The overwhelming majority of Americans, 86%, say the cost of groceries is at least a minor source of stress. The number includes 53% who say it's a major source of anxiety in their lives right now. That's according to a new Associated Press NORC poll. So the reality is very real, and I know people are feeling it, all right? And it's just what it is. And it's just going to get worse because these are the beginning stages that we're in, and it's only going to get worse. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So when we're experiencing famines, which the famines aren't here in full as yet, and the pestilences and the earthquakes, these are just the beginning of sorrows, because things are going to be coming much, much, much worse. And you may be thinking, well, how much worse can things get? Well, the scriptures state the times that are ahead. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 2nd Ezra chapter 16. So with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, Bashar Makal Kodesh. Shalom.